A great dish for a cool and rainy day, like the one we're having here, is the tartiflette. Tartiflette is a real dish from up here in the mountains where we live. I'm sure everyone who sees this that knows us is going to have their opinion on how it should be done or things they would or wouldn't do. I think that the really traditional tartiflette wouldn't actually have cream in it, but we've got a nice homemade creme fraiche here, which is still quite young, so it's just like a little bit tangy, which I want to use in our recipe. We will be showing you how to make a creme fraiche on our channel. We put a little splash of wine in there because I love cream, onion, sauces, and wine. But if you wanted to do the real traditional tartiflette, you're just going to want smoky bacon pieces. We've got a couple of 100 grams here. We've got one large onion that I've sliced. I haven't cut it down too small because you want those like bits of onion to be all over the tops of your potatoes. We've got a reblochon, which is a cheese specific to this area, and this is really like what makes the dish. If you're going to make a tartiflette, find a reblochon. There's not really like a substitute for a reblochon. You just want to get a good reblochon. This one is a Fermier's, that's a farm reblochon. So I'm sure you can be able to find those in England. It's fairly common. You're just going to start with, I part cooked my potatoes. Didn't show you that bit, it's not that interesting, but salted water just for sort of 10 minutes. Cold water to begin with, bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling, leave it boil for about 10 minutes and it should be kind of like still firm but majority cooked. Get a pan hot with a little bit of oil in there, just like a vegetable oil or sunflower oil, and just go in with your onions. Have a spoon. Yeah, a wooden spoon or something. So with a wooden spoon or spatula, or plastic, whatever you want, just break your onions up a bit, spread them out in the pan, and on a sort of medium-high heat, just leave those alone. Once they're kind of spread nicely, don't move it too much. Every time you move it, you're going to let heat out of the pan, you're going to stop the bit that is cooking. So just put them in and just leave it alone, like relax. It's just going to cook on one side, let that side cook through, come back a few minutes later or 3-4 minutes later and then give it another good stir and cook it through again, and that should do. You don't need to fiddle with things too much. We've always fiddled too much with meats and onions. They see it there, they're fidgety, and you just keep stirring it and you're just going to slow it down. You're going to stop it from cooking through. So leave those 3 or 4 minutes and then we're going to turn them back then. So onions are starting to soften there, so I'm just going to give them a turn. There's a bit of colour on some of them, but you don't want to colour them too much because this is going to go in the oven later. And when that goes in the oven, you're going to hit it with like I have it on a fan grill. The air's still moving around the oven, but you're going to hit it with quite an intense heat from above. So now it's had a couple of minutes, just move it around. It's starting to soften. I'll give that moved once, spread evenly, and again, leave it alone. Come back again in a couple of minutes. So onions are getting there, they're softening, there's a little bit of colour. We don't want too much colour in though, because it's going under the grill. Now going to just push them out to the sides a little bit and make some space, and I'm going to add a little bit more of our veg oil and our potatoes that we're going to line our dish with. I'm just going to drop those in the pan and give them a little bit of colour. Yeah, the heat's going to be mainly in the centre part, so we'll be able to just colour these up a little bit without cooking our onions out anymore, and that'll pick up a bit of that nice oniony flavour. And then I've got these nice dishes ready. We're going to have one of these dishes each, Bella and I. And we're going to cook the potatoes off. We're going to put them in, we'll line these dishes with the potatoes, and then we'll finish the sauce, pour the sauce all over the potatoes, and whack the cheese on. And then once the cheese is on, it goes under the grill, and halfway to tartiflette heaven. Like that. It's fun. There you go, that'll do. That's about half of our potatoes. Just like before, leave them in, don't touch it. Maybe a little bit of seasoning at this point. Potatoes tend to deal really well with salt. We all like when you have like chips, you know, you don't seem to be able to put too much salt on, so just cover them with salt and A little shake of pepper. If you want really intense pepper, yeah, get your pepper grinder out, give it a crunch, but just a little touch of pepper, decent amount of salt, and leave that to just take a bit of colour on one side. We'll then come back, turn it, and start to put it in our dishes. A couple of minutes later, and our potatoes are browning a bit more on the other side. They're now ready to go into the dish that we're going to finish them in. So I'll just pop these out. I've got half, maybe slightly more than half here. Yeah, like a nice layer in the bottom of this dish will do. Put it about there. I'm going to check my onions. I mean, they're all around the edge, but they seem to be alright. They're not going over. Put the spuds over there. And then just a little splash more oil. And the rest of your potatoes, you can now pop those in your pan. Just finish your next batch. Brown these again exactly the same way. A little bit of colour on one side. Leave it alone for a couple of minutes. Come back when it's brown. Turn it a couple of minutes on another side. Fill your dish, or just make one big dish if you're just going to make more for if you only got one dish that's going to go in the oven, or if you're making a bigger one for your family. But yeah, just a bit of colour one side. Come back, flip it. Colour the second side, and then into your dish. And at that point we're ready to make the sauce. So once we've got colour on these potatoes here, we're going to make the sauce, which we will cover our potatoes with, and then we're going to put the cheese on top, put it in the oven, and hit it with a hot grill for just till it bubbles and browns. So you want to have like a nice, the chewy brown bits on top of the tartiflette. They're really the best. So yeah, just leave that alone and come back. I've already turned these, the second lot of potatoes, coloured one side, I've flipped them, a bit more colour underneath. The onions are still sitting nicely around the edge, so they're not going over, they're just kind of sizzling away. We can now put our very lightly browned potatoes into our dishes that we're going to cook in. And now we're going to make our sauce. So a good amount of potatoes in each of these, just ready for Bella and I. Onions, I've been told off by someone watching one of our videos about me using my metal tongs in my pan, and you are right, it will shorten the life of your pan. So the onions back in the middle. Garlic, I've got three garlic cloves here because we love garlic. You can get away with one or none if you want. Also not traditional, but I've got a little bit of dried thyme in there because I love the thyme and onion, and also because I'm going to put a little bit of white wine in with the sauce. I don't know about you guys, but I love a bit of wine when I cook, and sometimes I even put some in the food. But this is a local Savoy wine which we're going to use just to deglaze our pan. So just sizzle that up, just to release any of the bits of potato, etc. that we've got on the bottom of the pan. That will quickly evaporate. And now, as the wine cooks out, I'm going to go in with our smoky bacon. You can get away with 150 grams of this. This is lardons, they call it in France, lardons fume. If you want to use a bit less, go for it. We've got 200 grams in there because Bella and I literally starved each other for this meal. We had a light lunch and we haven't snacked all day. We've just been looking forward to eating this big stodgy bowl of cheesy bacon, onion, potatoes. So I was going to pop that bacon in there. Again, you know, it's there, it's spread out. At this point, stop playing with it. Leave it alone. That's going to cook out. Give it a couple of minutes on this side. Give it a little stir. Cook it again the other side, and then we're going to put our cream on top. Now the bacon's cooking out, and just the onion and bacon, everything's there, the garlic, so I'm just going to stir it all together. Mix all your onions in with your smoky bacon, you've got your garlic. I've got thyme in there, but that's not traditional. Wine and everything, it smells amazing. At this point I'm going to make that sauce up a little bit. So this is a homemade creme fraiche. I mean, if you you let creme fraiche mature, it gets more sour. This is quite a young one, so it's not too sour. It's got like a little hint. A lot of the restaurants make tartiflette with a mix of cream and creme fraiche. We're making our own. We're going to do a video on this, so do subscribe and click the notification button to make sure that you come back to see the video where we make our creme fraiche. But now this is all nicely sizzled up. I'm going to go in with all of this, and even in goes our sort of quite thick cream. Had a bit of a, say it's a young creme fraiche, and I'm just going to bring that to heat, and it's going to get hot pretty quickly. Just give it a good stir, get all the ingredients in there. At this point, you can check the seasoning. If you're, you can use a spoon if you want, or if you're a chef, you quite often just dip your finger. Yeah, I mean, it tastes good, but needs a lot of salt. Chef pinch. Bella always calls this a chef pinch because he's got to whack it in there, but we do tend to use quite a bit of salt. But it's you use as much as you want, but it will bring the flavour out, especially when this sauce hits potatoes. Potatoes really draw salt. Like we said when we were seasoning at the beginning, if you lightly season this and put it onto potatoes, it will go from lightly seasoned to not seasoned at all, because the potatoes will just sap the salt out. So you can get away with being like a little bit heavily seasoned on there. Just going to warm this through. I'll probably cook it down for like 2-3 minutes, just like let it bubble away, thicken a little bit, and then it's going to go on our potatoes, and we're going to cover it in cheese, and then it's going to go into the oven. After a couple of minutes, your sauce should be thickening. I mean, you can see here it's still liquid. I mean, because it will evaporate a bit, and the potatoes will draw a bit of the moisture in. But we've reduced it some. We're now going to cover potatoes with this sauce. Just try and like share it evenly. So push the bacon and the onions out. Sauce is going to fill the dish. Same over here. That all nice. That's great. All that lovely bacon, onion goodness. And the part that makes this a tartiflette is our reblochon. Quite often when you get these, they have like a wax sticker or something, so you might need to give it a little bit of a scrape if it does. But this one does not. If you're a cheese lover, there's a real difference between the kind of mass-produced or just a real like Fermier farm reblochon is not the same as the cheaper alternatives. It's worth spending a couple of quid more, a couple of euros more, and just getting what is like the genuine article. And you can just put this on a big chunk if you want, but I always tend to put it on in a kind of bit of a lattice like this, and that right there. That's ready to go in the oven. I'm just going to do the next one. And we're just gonna go in the oven for about 10 minutes, but you just put it in there, and when it's all brown and crispy and bubbly and looking good, that's when you pull it out. Once again, I've got half a reblochon on each. That's kind of amount of cheese that Bella and I like to eat, and then that's just going to go in. At quite a high grill. And so those dishes, I've got plenty of room to catch any like sauce and stuff that bubbles up. But if your dishes are quite full, you're going to want to put an oven tray or something underneath your dish, because they quite often will. That sauce will get hot and things might boil over. So you might want to put a dish underneath just to catch anything that comes over, save your oven from getting things burnt to the bottom. But just give that 10 minutes. That's on a medium-high grill with the fan on to get that all warmed up. The potatoes are mostly cooked, so they'll still be. You want the sauce to be quite firm. You don't want them to really go to mush. You want to be able to know what you're cutting into a potato. So I mean, like I changed the way I did tartiflette when I had a really good friend called I've got a really good friend called Ben, who's from northern France, from Vosges, and I always used to make it from coming from England a bit like a dauphinoise or dauphinoise potatoes, where you slice it all up and you pack it into a dish, and then you cover it with the cream and the cheese and stuff, and you bake it off, and it kind of makes kind of cake. But then when he made it, he just did those big chunks of potatoes, cooked it in the sauce, put the wine, the cream, and everything over it, covered it in the cheese, and it was so much more satisfying to actually eat lumps of potato or chunks of potato out of that rich, creamy sauce. So now, I mean, sometimes I even leave the skin on, and I'll do like a half skin on, half skin off potato, and then you get this like nice kind of like skin flavour that goes into the tartiflette as well. But do whatever you want, just make it your own. But just remember to get that reblochon. Our tartiflette is nicely browned, so we're just going to whip these out. Nice bit of colour there. Also with tartiflette, as this comes out, we can't eat it yet. You need to give it sort of 4 or 5 minutes to calm down. Not only is it raging hot and bubbling, but you just want to give that a bit of time for the cream and the cheese and everything to settle, and it will come together, and it'll be thicker like a sauce. If you try and dive in there now, it's going to be really liquid and it's going to go everywhere. So just bring it out, let it cool for a little bit, and as it cools, all that stuff's going to come together. You get a nice thick sauce, and then you're ready to spoon out this like luscious, cheesy bacon, onion, potato delight that you've made. Well, we'll probably come back when we're putting it on the plate. Okay, that dog out.
What do you want, Cora? Do you want tartiflette? Tartiflette?
Dinner? Ooh.
Ooh. Tartiflette for dinner?
So after letting your tartiflette rest for a couple of minutes, the sauce will have thickened up nicely, and now we can kind of just go around the edges and give it a bit of a free up. And kind of. Then I'm probably going to just try and break it down the middle. It's not tartiflette, it's real rustic classic. It's not so much a work of art. It's something you just quickly knock together and enjoy with your friends. And there you go, it's gooey, cheesy, bacon, onion, potato goodness. There's a little bit of sauce in the bottom here. I'll just pull that out. Because we rested that for a moment, that's actually thickened a little bit, and you can pull it out quite easily. It's one of our nice pickles that we made. It's actually an Italian pickle, it's giardiniera, but you know, like the traditional thing to eat with your tartiflette would be pickles, maybe a bit of leaf salad. But it really cuts through all of that cream. And we've got some of our home pickled cucumbers. Normally, you know, you'd eat some gherkins with this. We've made these home pickled cucumbers, more or less same thing. There you go. That's tartiflette with pickles. All the recipes are on our channel. If you want to know how to make giardiniera, pickled cucumbers, this is the tartiflette video. But do subscribe and click the notification button so that you know when we make another video. And we'll hopefully see you next time.